What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. I hope you guys have all had a great Sunday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft. Tonight we are hopping into a 12-team full PPR mock draft with you guys, with the Catch fam. Of course, so we're going to get this thing kicked off in just a couple moments here. You guys know what to do, man. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way in so you have another guy who talks about fantasy football in your algorithm. Be sure to hit that like button on the way in, whether you guys are new to the channel or not, so more people see the stream tonight. But most importantly, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any fantasy football topics you guys want to go over, any NFL topics you guys want to go over, throw in the live chat. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and send out the final warning on Discord, and we're going to get this thing kicked off right at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. So, mock is starting. It'll get everyone on their toes and everyone in here, even though we're not starting for like another 30 seconds. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing tonight, man. And I'm excited. I'm at the 1.3 tonight, a tricky spot. We'll see what happens. We're starting tonight's draft. Let's do it. There's your little sleeper noise, and the draft is underway. So yeah, 1.3 is weird for me. You can take one of those other top tier receivers who aren't Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, being probably Tyreek Hill or Cooper Kupp at the 1.3. Or you can take the first running back off the board. Who is that for you? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it Austin Eckler? Is it Bijan Robinson? I think the argument for any of these guys is perfectly fine. But as of late, I've been going Bijan here. I mean, I don't have a problem with going Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler, but for quite some time now, I've been pushing the narrative that Bijan Robinson should be the first running back off the board. But like I said, like if you're going to go Christian McCaffrey there, I don't care. If you're going to go Austin Eckler there, I don't care. I love both those guys still, but you guys know that I am a believer in Bijan Robinson and what he's going to be able to do in his rookie season, so I'll take him there all day long. All right. We'll see how the rest of the first round wraps up. Cats, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing fantastic tonight. Thank you for drafting with us. Always good to see you. Brandon, what's going on? Hello, hello. Really hyped about fantasy this year. I cannot wait for fantasy season to get here already. I truly can't. I chopping at the bits. Pray, what's up, man? Thank you for being here tonight. Always good to have you in the house. Been a little while. Hope you're doing fantastic. I was excited to see you drafting with us tonight. Brandon, I love Bijan that early. Yeah, I do as well. Listen, you can go Christian McCaffrey there. You can go Austin Eckler. I won't dispute it. But when we look at running backs taken in the top 10 for like the past century, they are time after time productive in fantasy football. Okay? So I just don't have any problem with it whatsoever. I think Bijan's going to have a very good year. When you look at that offense, when you look at what Arthur Smith does as a head coach, there's just really no way that they're not going to run the football a ton. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kyle Pitts is going to be back. He's going to be healthy. That's good. Okay. Drake London is good. We like Drake London quite a bit, but Bijan's going to get his touches. And I mean, Algier is probably going to be involved as well. But at the end of the day, man, Bijan's my guy. And like I kind of talked about this like offseason after offseason, right? Like when you're in the first round, like the first choice you have to make is, are you going to draft a running back or a wide receiver or Travis Kelce, right? ADP is what it is, right? It is essentially a guide, okay? You need to look at that first round and say, like, I have one or two guys, and I'm going to go get that guy in the first round. Okay? Like, whether you take Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler or Bijan Robinson, only time's going to be able to tell. Like, last offseason, I was very, very vocal about the fact that I was going to draft Austin Eckler over Christian McCaffrey. Okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Eckler was your RB1, so it was the right call, but C-Mac was still the RB2, so it's not like that was like the most profound fantasy call I've ever made in my life or anything, but you just have to make a clear-cut decision on who your guy is, and I really think that the closer and closer we get to August, the more we're going to see Bijan drafted in the top 5. I've been saying that literally since the NFL draft. And I really don't think that's going to change. And there already are. I mean, there's more and more people in the fantasy community who think of Bijan that highly. So it's really I get it. The 1.3 seems pretty early. I think you could go Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, if you wanted to go wide receiver there. And I 110% understand why you would go C-Mac or Eckler there. But I'm going to stand by my beliefs and continue to draft Bijan Robinson. But you guys know, I mean, we run a lot of different mocks here, a lot of underdog drafts. And ultimately, on a pretty consistent basis, I have switched that up a little bit, okay? I do, try to switch things up, get some different exposure. And I do draft players like Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. I'm not against them by any means. All right, let's see. Marco, what's going on, man? Good to see you in the house tonight. Cats, how do you feel about your one quarterback team? I feel pretty good. The end of the draft, it hasn't been very eventful for me. I had to start to plan out my taxi squad a little bit. Try to get, some players who had immediate value. The first half of my draft was so wide receiver heavy that I took a massive breather at wide receiver, and I ended up drafting way more quarterbacks than I thought I would, but just so many people in our last Dynasty slow draft of the year, so you guys know what I'm referring to, were passing on quarterback, like QB2s, QB3s, and I just kind of made the decision of I'm going to go out and, go for the max of 4 quarterbacks and ultimately really try to put myself in a position to where, people might have to come to me for, if they need a trade, right? And I feel pretty good about that. And even if they don't, I like my quarterback room. Listen, this is a single quarterback league. It's not a super flex league, but quarterback is arguably the most important position, especially in dynasty leagues from a fantasy perspective. So, and this is long term, especially where I'm not in a position, because in this specific league I've traded a lot of my futures. Right, I'm not going to be in a position to draft a quarterback in a rookie draft anytime soon, for the most part, or at least a quarterback who presents immediate value. So having Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, and Russell Wilson, part of that was strategic, but my point being, I feel like the second half of my draft, I was expecting to have 2 more wide receivers in the mix, at least 1 more, and that didn't really happen because I took Goff in the 14th, right after taking Jones in the 13th, and then Russell Wilson in the 17th. So we'll see how it shapes out. But overall, I feel good. I do. Reverses Bijan at 3 is wild. Yeah, I'm telling you guys right now, that is going to become more and more common as the offseason continues to progress, the closer we get to August. But I do think it's going to ultimately become kind of a toss-up between C-Mac and Bijan at the 1.3. And honestly, Hill, Eckler, Kelsey, Kupp, those guys could all go at 1.3, honestly. Marco, great vid, by the way. Love the shout out to my Kirk pick at the 5.1, my Monty pick at the 6.12. Yeah, that I think all the clips in today's video that released were from our last mock draft. So I don't think any of the user names are in there, but I'm glad you could recognize your team, man. And thank you. Yeah, trying to get back on. I mean, it's July. It's time. Getting back on my grind. So there will be more content coming out for you guys closer and closer we get to August. J-Dubs, what's going on? Godfather, hope you guys are doing fantastic. Daquan, I like one wide receiver, one running back start so much this year. Yeah. So here I am once again. We'll talk about tonight's strategy a little bit as the draft goes on, but I did this a lot last offseason where if I go running back in the first round and I'm going wide receiver in the second, RB in the third, wide receiver in the fourth, and just repeating that pattern, allowing a good value quarterback to fall to me, making sure I'm keeping track of the board, where I'm drafting from, what quarterbacks are available, when does it feel appropriate to make a move for one, and doing the same thing with tight end. And I do agree that generally speaking, you can build a very even par team starting with one running back and one wide receiver. But it also depends. Like if I'm at the 1.12, like I'm probably just making a power move going like Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like 1.11, 1.12 are like the two spots where I have a very difficult time just not going back-to-back wide receiver. But you look at Chunk's team tonight, like going heavy running back to start. Like JT and Barkley's a great start. You guys know how I feel about Kenneth Walker. I think he's perfectly fine at the end of the third as well. So, Godfather, hope you're doing well. As well. Repetitive. Mike, people are not respecting Bijan. He is going to crush. Yeah, I mean, I've actually been a little bit surprised at how polarizing Bijan Robinson has been, because you have plenty of the fantasy community who's like, yes, I will draft Bijan Robinson all day long, early and often, and then you have some people who are still just against it. And I understand like the main argument against it is that he's a rookie. Like you have two proven guys there at the position, your RB1 and RB2 from last year. But I just think the ultimate upside lies with Bijan Robinson. And like I said, top 10 running backs, top 10 rookie running backs, well, I guess I should specify, running backs taken in the top 10, like over the last decade have really, really performed in their rookie season. So for the most part. Okay. Give me DJ Moore. Give me DJ. I like Drake London there as well, who goes off the board to J-Dubs at 4.11. But I'll take DJ Moore because I do think ultimately that offense is going to be a hair better. All right, fourth round wraps up. Let's move along into the fifth round. Marco, with the new rule penalizing handing off the football forward, thus limiting the read option, do you think this will affect mobile QB's fantasy production, especially since the price of them is high? I mean, potentially, but we're going to have to kind of see how things play out. I wouldn't be too entirely worried about it. Mobile quarterbacks with that skill set are going to get it figured out, essentially. I mean, like that. If they're going to take away, the read option, for example, or limit the read option, like the quarterbacks who bring that skill set to the table are still going to bring it to the table. You know what I mean? They're going to get it done one way or another. Okay, J.K. Dobbins is on the thumbnail. So we're taking J.K. Dobbins at 5.3 tonight. Follow our strategy. See what happens. Lots of good players available there at 5.3, though. Reverse, my QB room is not so good besides Allen. Yeah, I mean, when I was starting to make power moves at quarterback, I was looking at quite a few teams out there. And, like, I'm not going to lie, I did see your team. You have Levis and Tannehill behind Josh Allen. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of teams I was looking at that I was like, this could very much so benefit me if I'm rostering 4 starting quarterbacks. It's definitely not just you. But, yeah, Allen, Levis and Tannehill. I mean, like, you're going to have Tennessee starter next year. I don't know how high that ceiling is. And don't get me wrong, this is not a super flex league, so you don't have to like infinitely worry. But as time goes on, like, you are going to want more than one quarterback because there's bye weeks, injuries, and I mean, you have Josh Allen, so I'm not too worried about anything else. But those two aspects certainly are important. Like, you, even for this year, you're going to need another quarterback around for bye weeks and injuries. Cats, remember when we were saying Bijan at the half or the 1-2 turn was crazy? 100%, 100%. Chubb in round 2 every time for me if he falls, says Daquan. Yeah, I mean, Chubb is a very interesting player. You know, I mean, it was your RB6 last year, and really, if that production at the end of the year hadn't slowed down when Deshaun Watson came back to the helm, I mean, really, like, it wasn't that bad. He had 23 fantasy points in week 18 if he did have to play through week 18. Weeks 14, 8.4, 15, 9.9, 16, 11.2, 17, 12.6. But ultimately, you know, that did drop him back a little bit. Like, there was a point where Nick Chubb was looking like he could potentially be the RB1 on the season. So Chubb had a very good year. Was your RB6 in full PPR, RB5 in standard scoring formats last year. 12 touchdowns on the ground. Just over 1,500 rushing yards, 302 attempts, career high. It's also career high in rushing yards, tied his career high for rushing touchdowns, and he did have one receiving touchdown and the second most receiving yards of his career. Did see a report like yesterday or the day before saying that Chubb or the Browns are going to get Chubb more involved in the passing game. I thought that was interesting because we have kind of seen him like earlier in his career, you know, bring that to the table, essentially. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, I do like Nick Chubb this year, especially if he falls to you at the right value. You know, he is getting, like, kind of close to that point of, like where we're expecting, like, an injury, like a major injury. You know, he's going into year 6 at age 27, but we'll see what happens. Okay, who do I want to draft here? I don't really want to draft anyone. I'm going to reverse a little bit here. I'm going to go Pacheco. I don't mind David Montgomery there as well. Really like either of those players. I'd be happy with that 6.10 as my RB4. But yeah, I think the value of Pacheco or David Montgomery outweighs the wide receiver position at the moment. So, and yeah, literally the only wide receiver who went in between picks there is Deontay Johnson. So I'm going to go for a little bit of upside here. I'm going to go Jahan Dotson. There are plenty of good wide receivers on the board. Like I said, let's go for some upside. More of a flex play here. We're kind of hurting at wide receiver, a little bit light, I guess you could say. But I think overall we'll be able to shape things out nicely. So, you know, when I talk about this strategy, bounce back strategy, you go running back in the first, then you go back to wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, so on and so forth. If you get to a point where, you know, like it would feel like too much of a reach for Dotson at 6.10, and you think, you know, that is your favorite wide receiver on the board, Hollywood was close for me and even Pittman to a degree, then it is okay to deviate. Go running back here in the 6th and then wide receiver in the 7th. The other note here is I was very close to going Herbert or Trevor Lawrence at 5.3. And I don't think, I mean, I like Dobbins here. Like I said, he's on the thumbnail. So, you know, we're required to take him. But if I had gotten Herbert or Trevor Lawrence here and then gotten Pacheco or Monty at 6.10 and then Dotson, like, I'm not upset. Like, I have running back depth now. I can take a breather from running back for a bit. But ultimately, it is what it is. You know, I knew there was a slight chance maybe T-Law falls out here. But, you know, even in a real draft, like, I think I'm probably going quarterback at 5.3 there. I'm not going to take the chance on missing out on this top tier of the quarterback position. We've got Daniel Jones off the board. See what happens here. Daniel Jones over Prescott, Watson, and Tua. Albert, what's going on? Always good to see you. Hope you're doing fantastic. Bossman, I'm surprised DJ Moore didn't make your latest video. You always seem to get him in your drafts. Yeah, there is actually a reason for that. I'm probably going to do a standalone video on DJ Moore. Plus, I don't want to make that video, like, for those of you guys who are part of the community, like, too repetitive to what you guys already see or hear. Like, I know Kirk, Ayuk, and even Lazard to a degree, and even Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, don't get me wrong, you guys have heard about those guys. I feel like Elijah Moore was probably maybe the biggest surprise for you guys, but I didn't want to, talk about every single player. Drake London, DJ Moore, probably up there as well in terms of guys at the wide receiver position that I've drafted a ton of. And then in terms of like early round guys, Amon-Ra has definitely been my guy this offseason. So, but it is a fair point. DJ Moore, if there's anyone that have been drafting at a ridiculous pace, this offseason, is definitely DJ Moore. But ultimately, I have a plan for DJ Moore video coming up, so we'll see what happens. All right. So, interesting decision with this next selection. Feel pretty good at running back. I mean, if I'm following my strategy here, probably need to go quarterback or tight end. But I might continue to take a breather at quarterback. We'll see what happens. There goes Richardson. I like Anthony Richardson as a QB too. 110%. All right, there goes Freiermuth. J-Dub's going heavy tight end tonight with Kittle and Waller. And then we got See You Soon with Pitts and Goddard. Got some heavy tight end teams tonight. And the back half of the board, kind of light at tight end. Okay. See what happens. I like Elijah Moore right there quite a bit. Yeah, this is a tough pick. Tough pick. I mean, there are a couple quarterbacks I like here, a couple tight ends I like here, and a couple wide receivers I like. So I don't really feel like I can go wrong here. But let's take David Njoku, and let's move along. See how things play out here. Let's just get tight end out of the way. I mean, I'm in between two very tight end heavy teams, but we've got reverse here before we go into the 9th round, and then before I get back to the 10.10, I do feel like there's going to potentially be a run at tight end. So we'll take Njoku here. A couple names at tight end I like, but we'll go with Njoku. And I like Greg Dulcich at the 9.1. Yeah, this is a tough pick. There's two rookie wide receivers here that I like a lot. Quentin Johnson or Zay Flowers. Who would you guys rather have? I mean, I like both these guys a lot. Let's just go Quentin Johnson, but I don't think you can really go wrong. Two very different types of players. Brian, I got sniped on Trevor Lawrence, but Giants are looking good. There you go, bro. So you do like Danny Dimes, who, don't get me wrong, finished as your quarterback 9 last year. At times looked like he could potentially play like a running back. Over Prescott, Watson. I mean, I don't think that's too crazy. I mean, you guys know I've been a fan of Daniel Jones. as a late round quarterback, I just wouldn't personally reach on him. I like having, the fact that you have Richardson behind him to give you that upside. So that at least helps. All right, 15 votes on the poll tonight. 60% of you drafting J.K. Dobbins over Miles Sanders at 40%. All right, new poll, though. Which rookie wide receiver are you drafting? I need to know. Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers. Let's specify redraft in case anyone comes in here. All right. 9th round wrapping up. Daquan, QB scoring was weird last year with injuries. So many play bad. But do you think elite quarterback is a trend you have to jump on? Late round quarterbacks just have a hard time competing. Yeah. I mean, the point differential between like the top 6 quarterbacks last year and like literally everyone else was pretty ridiculous. And I think that's what has a lot of fantasy managers spooked in terms of not going early quarterback going into the season. But then I think when you look at a lot of quarterbacks last year who finished at least in the top 10, they weren't drafted, they were waiver wire guys, or they were on your bench at times in the season. Justin Fields was the QB7 last year. I know in a lot of my leagues, he became a waiver wire option. Trevor Lawrence was a QB8. He's another guy who, had like 18.5 points in week 2, 25 in week 3, but then 6 in week 4, 12 in week 5. Was getting dropped and had 24 in week 6, 18 in week 7, then 8 in week 8. Like, some of these guys were a little bit inconsistent, but that was still your quarterback 8 on the year. Last year, we just talked about Daniel Jones was your QB9. And then going further, as Geno Smith is off the board, that was your QB5 last year. Kirk Cousins was your QB6. He was probably drafted, but he could have been dropped at points. I mean, he had some bad games last year. He had 2 points in week 11. Jared Goff was your QB10. He was definitely a waiver wire guy. So I do think last year, at least with, even as crazy as the point differential was, like if you missed out on those top tier guys, there was still a lot of good value on quarterbacks who you got off the waiver wire, who weren't drafted, whatever it may be. So I totally understand why there are a lot of people out there who are like, I'm going to get Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Fields, Herbert, or T-Law. I'm staying within that tier, and I prefer, or even some people are like, I straight up want the Mahomes, Hurts, Allen tier. Like, they don't even want to dip into Burrow or Lamar Jackson, Fields, or Herbert, right? Or T-Law for that matter. So I get it. If that's what you want to do, I'm not particularly against it. But I do think that there's still something to be said about maybe going for some late round guys, which looks like what I'm doing tonight. Man, I thought Tua would fall here. There's a couple teams tonight that have gone double quarterback, which I did not anticipate. Couple teams. And that messed up my flow here. So, I mean, let's go Rodgers, I guess. But, that, I guess that's like the bigger concern is like, because, CU Students got Hurts and Prescott. I didn't see that happening. Beyond Reckless got Herbert and Tua. Didn't see that happening. I guess that's really about it. I mean, Jones and Richardson, I didn't see that happening, but by the time I was planning, to go later around quarterback, I had already kind of made that, that pick had already been made. So, because Richardson's a player that I will take behind Aaron Rodgers, behind a Tua, behind a Kirk Cousins, behind a Jared Goff, Geno Smith, whatever, towards the end of the draft and feel pretty good. At least for, in terms of having some potential upside down the road of the season. All right, so yeah, like Rodgers, Goff. don't feel great there. But sometimes it just depends on the flow of the draft itself. It's been a weird draft for me tonight, I feel like. Not necessarily my favorite. I thought we started off pretty good, actually. Bijan, Olave, Stevenson, DJ Moore are really light. I think we should have gone Herbert or T-Lot 5.3. If J-Dubs hadn't picked Fields at 5.2, it definitely would have gone Fields right there. But then let's just say, let's say we go Herbert here, and at the 6.10, we still get Pacheco. I'd be okay with that running back room with Bijan, Stevenson, Pacheco. We still go Dotson. I wanted Freiermuth at 8.10. He didn't fall out. And Njoku I'm fine with. I almost went Cole Kmet there. Like Njoku, Kmet, Dolchich. I love all those guys. Okay, you just kind of have to ask yourself the question, like, do I think the Browns, Broncos, or Bears offense going to perform the best this year? I think the past heaviest team could end up being the Browns. But who knows? I feel like towards the very back part of this draft, I need to continue to collect upside at wide receiver. I like Olave this year a lot. I like DJ Moore a lot this year. But Dotson and Quinn Johnston being here, I don't know how consistent those guys are going to be. So I need to continue to just build upside towards the end of the draft. We'll see how it shapes out. Because for me, full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex spots. I definitely want to emphasize the wide receiver position, which is why I go wide receiver heavy so often. But tonight we didn't. Tonight we were basically running back heavy. So we're going to snag up 2 wide receivers at the end of this draft and call it a night. 12th round is underway. All right. Yeah, backhand wide receivers. Never pretty. But there's always value at wide receiver to some degree, especially in full PPR formats, no matter how deep you play. All right, let's take a look at the poll. It's split 50-50. Half you guys going Quentin Johnston, half you guys going Zay Flowers. Yeah, that was a tough choice for me there at 9.3 because I like Zay Flowers a lot, but I also lately have warmed up to Quentin Johnston. Especially just thinking about Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both being hurt last year. All right, let's see. So a couple quarterbacks here in the 12th. We got Cousins and Bryce Young off the board. Bryce Young certainly interesting in redraft. I don't quite know if I'm there. Like, if Bryce Young is going to do his thing this year, I hope he does, right? I'm all for it. But I don't know. I might be sitting back and watching it happen as opposed to actually going out and drafting him. Prey sitting there, Trevor Lawrence at the 6.3. I would rather just roll with Trevor Lawrence and no second quarterback. But, hey, if you're going to stash a rookie quarterback, I'm not against it as well, I guess. Oh, man, I wanted Sky Moore. That's a true snipe. A true snipe. All right, give me Rashid Shaheed because I know J-Dubs will take him if I don't. And then I will be double sniped. And I don't want that. Sorry, J-Dubs. All right, 13th round. Here we go. Yeah, I would if I ended this draft with Sky Moore and Rashid Shaheed, I could actually live with this with this wide receiver room. So now we're sitting here. You got Rasheed Rice, Zay Jones, Jalen Hyatt, Michael Gallup, KJ Osborne, Jaden Reed, Donovan Peoples-Jones. You could certainly make an argument for literally any of these players. I already have one rookie wide receiver, so I'll pass on Rice. I still like Zay Jones in the final round. But hey, let's stick with the theme here. Browns offense is going to pass more this year. That's why we went in Njoku. Let's take Donovan Peoples-Jones. I still think even with Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman there, DPJ is going to have some sort of role. I think Tillman could be taking that role as time goes on. But for now, I think DPJ is going to be a part of that offense. So, wanted Sky Moore, got sniped. I don't even know if See You Soon is still here. It says he's got a green dot and auto, so I don't know what that means. But, man, I love Kyler Murray in the 13th round behind Josh Allen. It's beautiful. All right, let me know in the chat if you guys want a team review. We will go through the teams here. Sorry, my face is covering the board. My bad. And then we'll wrap things up. So, I'm surprised no one has already gotten on the queue. All right, Cats is first up. All right, Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And Mark Andrews at tight end. Going for the stack tonight. Can't go wrong here. It's going to be a very different offense this year. They're going to throw the football more. This stack is going to redeem itself from the last year or so in things. So, I'm good with that. Pollard, Pierce, Dillon, Roschon Johnson, Donta Foreman. I think you got good value at running back throughout this draft. Hopefully Pollard is 100%. Won't have any limitations this year. I still like Tony Pollard quite a bit. You are kind of missing that, that RB2 kind of really puts you over the top. But Pierce and Dillon are fine where they win. I'd rather take the chance on Swift or even Rashad White right there. But if Pierce is your guy, that's fine. I like Dillon the 7th. Gibby's good there as well. But Johnson and Foreman at the end of your draft, completely fine. All right, Hill, Lockett, Moore, Cooks, Bateman, Van Jefferson. Interesting seeing Van Jefferson start to float into the mix in our mocks here lately. I think you kind of went hero wide receiver, but I think you got good value towards the end here. I like Lockett. I like Elijah Moore. I like Bateman. I'm not as high on Cooks as some people are. Right now he is theoretically the wide receiver 2 on that team. Michael Gallup could retake that. I don't know. But that's just personal conviction, right? I like Jefferson in the 13th, though. We talked about Jefferson a lot going into last year, and just the injury bug kind of got him, right? All right, so you're starting Lamar and Andrews. That is good. Pollard and Pierce, Hill and Lockett, then in those 2 flex spots. This is what I like to see on a roster, right? You can flex Dillon, you can flex Moore, you can flex Cooks, you can flex Bateman. And I think to start the year, you can also flex Foreman. I think he's going to hit the ground running. But as time goes on, it could be Roschon Johnson. I don't have as much faith in Khalil Herbert, but he'll be in the mix as well. And Jefferson could be a flex option too. So that's what I like to see. I think Dillon and Elijah Moore are your best options, but you have other options to flex as well. It's a good overall team. How do you feel about it, Cats? All right, Marco at the 8, the 1.8. Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. I love the quarterback room. We've talked about Kyler Murray a lot this offseason. A lot. And I still like Kyler. I earlier in the offseason, I was really, really arguing to continue to draft Kyler. Then I started to get a little bit spooked. And as time goes on, if you get Kyler in the 13th, behind a quarterback like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, or even behind a quarterback like Rodgers, Prescott, Tua, Watson, whatever, I just really like him as a QB2. He's, even if you don't need a QB2, he is the quarterback that makes the most sense, in my opinion, to be a QB2. Was literally like the quarterback 5 or 6 before he had to sit out weeks 10 and week 11. And I think it was like QB 7 or 8 after week 12. And then came back to earth with the tear and complete ACL tear and everything. So I still believe in Kyler Murray. I think the bigger the aspect that doesn't scare me it's not the injury. It's what in the world are the Cardinals going to be? What are they going to do? I think they're going to want Kyler out there, and I truly do. But we'll see how things shape out. All right, running back Henry, Cook, Penny, A-Chain. Redraft, I can live with that. As time goes on, as the year goes on, waiver wire, trades, you can come out of your draft with these guys. Cup, Ridley, Addison, Lazard, Myers, Boyd. I like this wide receiver room. Yeah. I mean, nothing crazy, but good value throughout the draft. So, starting Allen and Hawk, Henry and Cook, Cup and Ridley. And once again, you can really flex the entire rest of your team. It's probably Jordan Addison and Allen Lazard in full PPR, but Myers and Boyd could, give you a low ceiling, relatively okay floor. And Penny and A-Chain could easily get in the mix as well. So, looks pretty good to me, man. How do you feel about it? Boss Man at the 1.9. Watson at QB, Komet at tight end. And it's still okay to draft one quarterback and one tight end. And I like both these guys where you got them. For a late-round quarterback, late-round tight end build, looks good to me. Najee, Connor, Kamara, Singletary, Bigsby. Yeah. Good value at running back tonight. Kamara could pay off. Singletary and Bigsby, but they're your last two picks. Harris and Connor were good value where you got him. Heavy wide receiver team, though. Lamb, Adams, Judy, Hopkins, JSN, Rondell Moore. I like your wide receivers. And, that's one thing in redraft formats. If you get 2 running backs out of your draft, 2 to 3, who you can play on a consistent basis, then the waiver wire is going to clear things up for the rest of the year. Is it going to be a little bit stressful? Yeah, but if you can roll with Harris and Connor and a sprinkle of Kamara, you're probably okay. So, Watson and Komet are your starters. Harris and Connor, let's just say, with Kamara's situation. Lamb, Adams, Judy, Hopkins, a great starting lineup. But then you still have JSN, Kamara, and Rondell Moore on the bench. Those guys can come into your flex, RB2 spots, whatever. Singletary and Bigsby. I pretty much handcuff values. We'll look at them that way. So, and handcuff holds a lot of value in redraft, right? So yeah, I feel pretty good about it. How do you feel about it, man? All right, J-Dubs. Went for best value. Trust my ability to leverage T. Higgins in a trade for running back, especially in a heavy RB room. Okay. So J-Dub started out heavy wide receiver. Took a quarterback, took 2 tight ends, took all his running backs, took 1 more wide receiver. Almost had it to where the colors all perfectly aligned. All right, Fields at quarterback. That's good. Say no more. Kittle and Waller, great tight end room. Brian Robinson, Purine, Kendre Miller, Mitchell, Zeke, late round running back room. If you're going to go with this strategy, you might as well do it in redraft, right? We actually saw 1 or 2 teams in the Catch Fam tournament last year who basically did this strategy and it worked out really well for them. The specific team I'm thinking of had Pollard late and just leaned on Tony Pollard all year and was stacked at wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end. So it can work out and just rotated that RB2 spot throughout the year. Chase Smith, Higgins, London, you're fine at wide receiver. Chark in the 13th round. 13th round guy. Hard to say. We got Collins, Chark, DPJ, Rice, Jefferson, Height, Samuel, who's going to be the best guy. Chark's your guy, that's fine. He could easily be the wide receiver 1 for Carolina. Who knows? Could be Mingo. Could be Thielen. I don't know. All right, so we're starting Fields and Kittle, Fields and Waller, whatever you want to do. Robinson and Purine to start the year. Chase Smith, flexing Higgins, flexing London. Like, it is a solid lineup. Miller, Mitchell, Zeke, Chark on the bench. And I love your starting lineup, and Waller probably on the bench too. So, yeah, like, you don't get a ton of upside at running back, but that's just going off of what we know right now. Like, what if Gibson gets hurt and Brian Robinson is just the straight-up RB1? What if Javonte needs more time to recover, which, according to reports today, that's not the case. But whatever. Then you maybe get more upside out of Brian Robinson and Pirine. So you just never know. The running back position is so volatile. So, like I said, we had a couple teams last year in the tournament that fared pretty well with this type of strategy. So, see what happens. But one thing, that we saw as the year went on, and injuries started to pop up when you got closer to the playoffs, this type of strategy, you can get hurt at the running back position. All right, coast to coast. What's up, Chunk? Burrow and Wilson at quarterback. Kincaid and Laporta. Ooh, that's risky for me, man. Yeah, I need, if you want to go Kincaid or Laporta, that's fine. But taking 2 rookie tight ends, a little risky for me. But you can go Kmet and Kincaid. Go Laporta and Nkonkwo, Dolchich and Kincaid, something like that. I know in your case tonight you couldn't do that looking at the board, but even you go Laporta and Jawan Johnson, it's just something like that, Just listen, Kincaid is in a position, even with Dawson Knox there, where he should be able to line up and have immediate fantasy value. Laporta is in a position where he's going to step right into the tight end 1 role, but it still historically takes time for the tight end position to get kind of going. So, just a little worrisome. Burrow and Russ is fine. I love Joey B. Probably don't have to take Russell there, but it is what it is. JT, Barkley, Walker, Algier, I'm fine with that. Heavy running back start for you. Godwin, Ayuk, Pickens, Burks, Beckham. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I probably would go wide receiver or running back with that last pick over Wilson. I'd be a little hesitant about going 2 rookie tight ends. But you never know. Upside could pay off, right? Starting Burrow, JT, and Barkley. Let's say you're starting Kincaid. Who knows? Could be Laporta. Starting Godwin and Ayuk, flexing Pickens, and I'm flexing Kenneth Walker here, but you could end up putting Burks over Pickens as well. So I actually think this team is pretty okay. I think this team is pretty good, I should say. It's just the tight end position worries me, and I don't think the Russell Wilson pick is necessary. I'd rather go with an additional wide receiver running back there. But yeah, other than that, I think it looks pretty good. All right, don't think I missed anyone. So yeah, there's your team reviews for the night. Draft of the night for me is close. I actually think J-Dub's team could turn out to be pretty good. Just rotating that RB1 and RB2 around, it's close. I like Cat's team a lot as well. And I also liked Marco's team. We're going to review Prey's team just because he's actually here tonight. I don't know who my draft of the night is. Prey, you had T-Law and Young, Ingram, Chubb, ETN, Swift, Jamal Williams, Diggs, Debo, Mike Williams, Davis, Mooney, Hyatt. It's a very Prey team. A little bit of recency biasy. It looks like you're still looking at last season a bit. Can't pass up on your veterans here, but you got 2 rookies at the end. That's good. The team looks okay. You're starting T-Law and Ingram. Get a little stack there. Chubb and ETN. More Jacksonville action. Diggs and Debo. Flexing Swift. Flexing Mike Williams. Okay. You get some upside here. I like this team. You got Jamal Williams, Davis, Mooney, Hyatt on the bench. Bryce Young is floating around too. I like this team, Prey. Turned out actually pretty good. How do you feel about it, man? Jacob says, I like Chunk's team outside of tight end. I did too. I think this team's good. It's just the tight end position worries me. So, There might not be a draft of the night. Okay, doke. Let's roast my team. Rodgers and Goff. We went late round quarterback tonight. And I thought Tua would be here. Okay, I probably should have gone Herbert or T-Lot 5.3. But here we are. And Njoku at tight end. And Njoku, Dolchich, Komet, whoever you want here, I'm okay with. I wanted Freiermuth, but if he's not there, those guys are all fine. Bijan, Stevenson, Dobbins, Pacheco, I would be very happy with this running back room in a redraft format going into next year. Olave, DJ Moore, Dotson, Quinn Johnston, Rashid Shaheed, DPJ. I mean, it just pains me. I just want a star-studded wide receiver room early and often. I wanted a J-Dubs type wide receiver room. But I'm trying to build more, consistent teams overall. Play around a little bit with strategy. Ultimately, my biggest note for this team is that I wish I had gone Herbert or T-Law at 5.3. Got Pacheco here. Dotson and Njoku, Johnston I'm fine with. Then maybe another running back or two towards the end of the draft who brings some handcuff value, because ultimately me having Bijan, Stevenson, and Pacheco or Monty, whoever I went with there, I'd be happy with. So, if I get one or two guys a little bit less value, I don't think it would have upset me. But there's your team for the night. Not the highest ceiling at quarterback, but other than that, I think it looks okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that should do it for the night. Be sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. If you guys were new to the channel and you hung out tonight, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and check out the links down below. Follow us on Instagram and be sure to join our free Discord so you guys can get our future mock draft invites, as well as roster reviews, fantasy discussion, all that good stuff. Jacob, CMC or Jamar? I'm going Jamar by a hair. I mean, if I'm in the position to draft Jamar, Chase, Bijan, or C-Mac, I'm probably going Chase, Bijan, and C-Mac. So, that's my answer. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for drafting with me. Are you high on Kenneth Walker? 100%, especially at his current draft value. 100%. Yeah, I agree. Chase is ridiculously safe. All right, guys, I got one or two things to do before bed, so I am going to sign off. Let me know if you guys need anything on Discord, Instagram, wherever you need to let me know. Sleeper, whatever. And I will probably have a video dropping for you guys tomorrow. Outside of that, I'll be back on streaming tomorrow night. Once again, we'll run into another mock draft. So make sure you guys are paying attention on Discord for the mock draft invites. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. Like I said, sorry, punching my mic. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And